Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the SG553 carbine for the engineer class. Now this is one of those co-op unlockable guns, and I highly recommend that you put in the time to actually get this gun unlocked. If you didn't have any interest in it before, hopefully this video can persuade you to give it a try. Now, it certainly isn't a powerhouse. It doesn't have a high rate of fire. It doesn't do any sort of special damage modification or anything like that. It has the same damage per shot as all the other engineer weapons excluding the Scar H. It has a relatively low rate of fire, clocking in at 700 RPM. Now, it's only 100 RPM less than the M4A1. It's 200 RPM less than the MTAR, but 700 is still kind of low, especially when you're dealing with a carbine damage model, which clocks in at 25 maximum damage and 14.3 minimum. Now, carbines tend to suffer at range when compared to something like an assault rifle because assault rifles only drop off to 18.4 minimum damage, while these ones drop off to 14.3 minimum damage. However, I find the SG553 to fare pretty darn well at long range. Which is quite weird because according to the stats of this weapon, it has a very slow bullet velocity of 430 meters per second. It also doesn't have the greatest recoil pattern in the world. However, there's something pretty magical about the recoil of this weapon. I think it has to do with the fact that it fires at a slightly slower rate of fire at 700 meters per second, making the recoil not quite as profound every time you fire the weapon. And I find it extremely easy to keep this gun on target at any range. Now, because this gun only shoots at 700 rounds per minute, you are going to lose a lot of firefights to equally skilled players who are using faster firing weapons. So you have to know how to take advantage of the SG553. One of these is that the SG553 actually has a pretty darn accurate hipfire mode. Now, if you put a heavy barrel on here, which I actually recommend doing, it is going to slightly decrease your hipfire accuracy, but you can then reattach a foregrip on there and it will still keep fairly decent hipfire accuracy, which can give you a slight edge in extreme close quarter combat. But for me, this gun really does excel at medium and longer range encounters. Now, it's weird to say a carbine really excels at longer range. I'm not saying it's awesome at longer range. There's plenty of good guns that are a lot better than this gun at longer range, but for a carbine, I think it performs exceptionally well. And a lot of that is due to the very easy to manage recoil, allowing you to really put a lot of shots in the same place even at longer ranges. Now, there's two different setups that I would consider running this weapon depending on your situation. One of them, which is probably going to be my favorite and most commonly used setup, is the heavy barrel foregrip Cobra sights. And that's just an all-around weapon that's good in pretty much all situations. The modification of that setup would be to use a laser sight, foregrip, and Cobra. That would be more of a close quarters hip firing setup for this weapon, which again isn't bad. You're just going to lose your damage and accuracy at range. Now, thankfully, the reload time is pretty low on this weapon, clocking in at 2.15 seconds. It's not quite competing with the ACWR at its 1.85 or the M4A1 clocking in at 1.9, but it's still fast enough to get stuff done and reload fast in close quarters if you absolutely need to. Now, picking the right map is a big part of the SG553, and I totally managed to somehow sneak that kill off, and I engaged that guy with only 2 rounds left in the gun. So I gotta say, if you're dying because you literally run out of ammo, then that's probably a good sign that you're actually doing pretty well with the weapon. Now, in terms of picking the right map for this weapon, I would not recommend forcing yourself to use it on a close quarters map. You're going to be disadvantaged because of its slower rate of fire. You're really going to feel the advantage at medium ranges, so longer range maps like Karkand is an excellent time to use the SG553 because you do have a few close quarter situations, but a lot of them are medium and longer range, and this gun is great for picking people out of windows as well, just because again the recoil is so easy to manage. I wouldn't recommend it for Team Deathmatch, No Char Canals, or even Team Deathmatch Karg Island. That one can seem like kind of longer range situations, but there's so many close quarters in the crates and stuff, you will feel significantly disadvantaged with this weapon. But I would say even maps like Caspian Border are a great match for the SG553 because I was messing around with the Scar on that map, and I think the Scar is one of the better engineer weapons for exclusively long-range combat just because of its massive damage that it can do at range. But when I switched up to the SG553 after using the SCAR for quite a bit, I was actually finding that I could definitely hold my own just as well, if not better, at medium and long ranges as I could with the SCAR. And especially at those longer ranges, the slow rate of fire can really be a big benefit to controlling this weapon better and using your ammunition much more effectively. I find that I'm actually landing a lot more of my rounds with this weapon than I do with competing carbines. In fact, I actually have a 2% higher accuracy rating with the SG553 than I do with the SCAR H or even the M4A1. Now, ironically, I actually became quite a big fan of the SG553 because a lot of you guys were getting tired of seeing the M4A1 and the M16A3, so I was trying to find some other guns that I really liked and could get good with and show you guys more variety, and I just ended up really liking the SG553, and I really do think that it's probably my second favorite engineer weapon, the SCAR H coming in at a close third. Now, back in my Counter-Strike days, the SG552 was a big favorite of mine also for the terrorist side. It wasn't a great gun, but I just really liked the way that it looked. And if you have Counter-Strike nostalgia, you can always throw a 4x scope on here to try and mimic the Counter-Strike version of this weapon, but I really don't think that 4x scope is going to benefit you. I think the Cobra is really where it's at with the SG553. Now, a bunch of people have been speculating about the whole premium content drop that's scheduled to come out soon. No idea what it's going to be. Could be new camos, could be new assignments, achievements, dog tags, whatever. But I honestly wouldn't mind seeing a new skin for the SG553. Maybe something that made it look a little bit like the Counter-Strike version with a more of a silver body and a transparent magazine, because that's I think what the SG553 is well known for, is using those transparent magazines so that you can actually see the bullets in the mag, and that would just look really cool, and I would love to see something like that in Battlefield. So that pretty much wraps it up for my review of the SG553. In conclusion, the gun is great for medium to long range situations. Not the best at close quarters, but still very usable. And just the recoil is a delight to work with. It's very easy to keep on target, and still very powerful when in the hands of a good player or even a novice player. Now, before I wrap it up here, a lot of you guys have been asking me to do reviews on specific guns, and sometimes I get requests for weapon reviews that I've done like a month ago and whatnot, and a way that you can check to see if I've already done a weapon review is just going to my YouTube channel and checking. There's a little search window in the top right side of the channel. You can basically just type in a weapon name there and see if I've already done a review on it, and that'll save you some time rather than having to write me private messages asking me to do weapon reviews and whatnot. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to rate it, and I'll see you guys next time. This is LevelCap signing off.